Well, Travis Taylor and the boys from Skinwalker Ranch are back.
Good Lord, really?
They're back, and dare I say, they are back in a big way with Season 5 Skinwalker Ranch.
Kudos to these guys for milking that thing.
Well, here's the thing. The David Paulides video that was posted, I think you posted it in our Discord, that entire 20 to 30-minute video that David Paulides did was about Skinwalker Ranch Episode 1, the very thing I'm going to cover here. And I will... David,
very pants you were trying to return.
Yeah, so David and I are doing essentially the same segment. I just do it a little differently. I pull clips from the show, and I will try to talk it up.
You're 4 layers deep based on somebody else's watching of another episode.
I watched David Paulides do a review of the show. I watched the show myself and pulled clips.
Right,
I have actual audio clip. I didn't pull clips from David's show. I pulled clips from actual Skinwalker Ranch. And just to catch people up, last we saw the fun-loving crew over at Skinwalker Ranch in Season 4. They were extremely interested in a fairly large object in the mesa. They suspect that there is some sort of metallic object in the mesa. They tried drilling. They tried to do some explorative drilling in there. Use LiDAR, sonar, radar, everything they could to get a more accurate analysis of what might be in the mesa. Also, pretty close to the mesa, there is a section of the property called the Triangle where a lot of anomalous stuff tends to happen. And they're coming back in full force. They're not letting up. They have poured more money into this. It's pretty much the same crew as the previous 4 seasons. And they're back to try to figure out what is going on. And let's see if I can... did I not save the first one? I thought I did.
How dare you?
I usually have a lot of these saved in a very interesting way. But here we go. Here is the first clip I have from Skinwalker Ranch Season 5.
Last year, we documented more phenomena than ever before all across Skinwalker Ranch.
Whoa, what was that purple light over there?
Look at that. What is that? One of the most perplexing mysteries is something we first encountered 2 years ago. A 400-foot-long, dome-shaped object that's proven to be impenetrable during 2 different drilling operations. But we did recover small metallic fragments in the spoils that, believe it or not, are made of similar materials to what NASA uses to protect the surface of our own spacecraft. So what could this thing be? This year, we intend to find out.
So the anomaly in the mesa, I think that's something we got to find a way to examine in much more detail.
Yeah. We've now gone at it a couple times with a smaller scale drill. We definitely need to get in there with something bigger.
Let's do it.
By the way, just from a standpoint of pop culture, could they get Hulk Hogan to guest star on this show?
I bet he would do it.
I bet he would.
Yeah, I bet he would. But now that Hulk is Christian, maybe he doesn't want to be associated or visit anything paranormal. This is where it gets a little dicey with Skinwalker Ranch. Now, Gretchen, you're of the opinion, and I believe Joe, our co-host, is of the opinion that what goes on at Skinwalker Ranch is a bunch of hubbub, and there's no paranormal activity. What is your position on Skinwalker Ranch?
That is not true.
Okay.
My frustration with this show in particular is that of all the stuff going on at Skinwalker Ranch, they focus on the oddball minutia stuff and spend entire episodes complaining about their broken phone or picking up weird radio frequencies because they're using the same frequency as satellites on their satellite phone. It's things like that. They don't focus on the deep, like, let's figure out what the hell's going on here. They pick one little thing and they go hard on it for like 3 episodes. And it's generally inconsequential. That's my frustration with it.
Well, you're definitely not going to like this episode.
All righty.
I can say that.
What now? They have a mystery flat tire on their truck, and they spend 30 minutes talking about that?
No.
Did they misplace the ladder?
No, they haven't. They are getting together with another helicopter pilot. They got 2 helicopters in the air, and they are using frequencies in order to measure where an anomaly could be over the triangle. And that's what they were trying
They were
to
doing that 2 years ago.
Exactly. And now they're back at it again. They have more equipment. They have more things in the air. And they're trying to map out where the anomaly starts and stops and why possibly is it jamming or just attenuating radio signals in certain spots. They don't really know. Their best guess now is that there is some sort of portal or some sort of electromagnetic vortex that is creating a barrier for very specific wavelengths or electromagnetic frequencies. And this is their first experiment. I have a clip of this. This is what they are up to here. It's the first experiment of the season. Here we go.
To help us conduct our first experiment of the year at the Triangle, Cameron Fugel arranged for his colleague, Brock Wilson, to fly a second helicopter out to the ranch.
Thanks for your help in bringing your beautiful machine out.
Thanks for having me. I know we've spoken before and talked a little bit about the experiment that we want to perform in the air over the triangle out there.
Yes.
Broadcasting some signals between the helicopters, also down to the ground. As Travis likes to say, you'll be flying a push broom pattern at various altitudes, starting at low altitude and going to high.
Yeah. And how high up are we going?
5,000 to 6,000 feet at the top end.
Okay.
Great. Well, let's get these birds in the air.
All right, let's go to work.
I will be in Chopper 1 with Brock, and Eric will be in Chopper 2 with Thomas and Cameron.
Let's do
And
it.
we're going to ascend in a synchronized pattern to identify the actual size of the area above the triangle that we call the anomalous zone. So as we ascend to various altitudes, I'm going to transmit a 1.6 gigahertz frequency signal over to Eric. That's a signal we've been detecting frequently on the ranch during many of our experiments. And it's left us baffled because that frequency is reserved by the military for tracking communications between satellites and the ground. So it's got us questioning who's making those transmissions on the ranch and why.
And that's why I had a bit of a question. I wasn't sure if you're talking in there, Cratchit, but if it is reserved,
I shut up halfway through.
If it is reserved for the military, then why are they using it? I understand that they're detecting that signal there, but then why are they using it? And as they were going through this experiment, they had 2 helicopters up in the air, and they were communicating with each other using the 1.6 frequency. And then they had a drone kind of like in between them, triangulating the signal. And as they were shooting signals from helicopter to helicopter, it was breaking. Like they weren't picking up each other's signals depending on where the helicopter was. Now, at that point in time, during the experiment, I would say, let's change frequencies and see if it's just disrupting 1.6 or if it's also disrupting other areas of the spectrum. And I cannot believe they didn't do that. That's what you'd want to do to see if there is a barrier just for that frequency or is it for every frequency. Now, they may have done that and didn't include that into the show. You'd imagine that would be a
Why
pretty...
would they do that? That's ridiculous.
But that would be pretty standard procedure. I'm not a scientist. People know this, but it seems like a regular thing to do. You sweep the band and see where it starts to break and then maybe where it comes back in. And that might help create more data or more experiments, but that did not happen, at least not on the show that we saw.
And these guys are, of course, they actually turned off their satellite phones this time.
Well,
right?
here, I don't know if they have satellite phones. If they did not say anything. But even if they had satellite phones, like they're generating the signal. They're trying to measure they're not trying to pick up the signal. They're generating the signal and trying to shoot it at one another in the helicopters and they're moving up. So they're trying to shoot the signals at each other. They're about maybe 1,000 feet apart over the triangle. And then they're at 200 feet. Then they do it again, like at 500, then 800. And then they go up to almost like, I think, 3,000 feet or something like that. Some pretty high up there. And they measure where the signal is continuous between the helicopters and where it breaks, so they can kind of map out the void above the triangle and what may be there. Is it a static void, or is it moving along with the helicopters? That is the nature of the experiment. And here's like just a brief 20-second clip of the result.
It was strange enough that we kept losing the signal connection between the helicopters at each 200-foot increment above the
That
triangle.
audio in the background
But
is
when the
fake.
drones started getting GPS interference, that really suggested that everybody's equipment was being affected by some kind of phenomenon, and we needed to keep going higher to see if it would continue.
So there is something going on there. I believe there's something going on. Now, it's unfortunate that they have to condense this down to like 45 minutes and we don't see every failure or success. We don't see like all the ins and outs. I know it is a TV production, so they got to punch it up to get people watching. But there are other experiments that were much more, to me, fascinating because it involved chanting, it involved rituals, it involved religion, and they did that like I think last season, where they invited out some Native American shaman, and they did a chant. And when they did this chant, it did elicit, provoke possibly a UFO in the area that they were able to capture on a thermographic and some other night vision. And a lot of times when they do these experiments, it does provoke the reaction. Like there is like anomalous lights. There's weird UAP or UFOs. I just say UFOs that do show up. They find out about them later when they go review the footage. So there are things that happen, but it's not. There's not enough. Like there's not a lot of data around that other than like a 2-second video clip of something showing up when they're shooting radio frequencies. Now, the chanting was very interesting. They only did it once. And I'm also perplexed by that. Like, if it worked, why wouldn't you continue to use chanting, but bring in people of different religious backgrounds? Bring in Christians, bring in Muslims, like Judaism, all spects of religion. Does one religion or does one religious chant provoke the entity or anomaly more than another? That's a way to go. They did not do that.
Skinwalkers hate Buddhists.
Well, I would like to know that. Or is it just the energy during that religious practice that provokes it? But there's a lot of different chanting they can do. That works. You can chant anything.
Zink, 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 zink.
Yeah, that's
What
a good
about some
one,
Habunga Kona?
Satan, Satan.
that's a good one.
There's that one too.
That's a fun one when he chants that. Where's my Habunga Chunga? That's not right. That's a good one. Yeah. That's a classic Alex chant right there.
Where's the Kona one though? That's the best one.
Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan.
Where's my? I got the Hukukumajunga. Which one you're looking for?
He says,
Kona.
Yeah, Kona's. He says Habunga Kona, something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta find that one. It's in a different. That's a pretty good one right there. Not really a chant though.
I did like that first one you played. I hadn't heard that one in a few years.
Yeah, it was a fun one. And then there's what happened? So they did all of these experiments. They did provoke a reaction. They wound up like at the end of the day after they found a signal breaking. There were some GPS anomalies. They did get some 3 different video clips of UFOs. One was close to the ground, one was higher up in the air, one was elongated, but each clip was just a few seconds, and they don't know really what to do with that. It's just more data to throw in the folder right there. And I'll end with this last little clip right here.
This could potentially be one of those same objects caught on the camera last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And we've got 3 separate videos here with very similar objects, and these all seem saturated white, right? So I find that really intriguing.
Yeah. I think, to your point, Travis, that one looked to me like it was putting off light as opposed to just being a color that it's picking up in the light.
And I agree. And here's the thing. While the first one was a little bit more elongated, they're still the same kind of color, saturated white. So we need to get to the bottom of that.
Yes.
We got to figure out where are they going to and where are they coming from.
But it sounds like, as usual, we have more unanswered questions. We have a lot of data to continue to sift through, and I think we have some potentially compelling events that we've captured on camera. We just need to simply draw some hopefully correlating footage or better insight into identifying what we're dealing with.
Yes.
So they'll be back again next week, and I will be there to watch.
How many episodes in this season?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I purchased the entire season on Amazon for like $22 because I will get my money's worth out of it. I will.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, do they deliver, when you do that, do they deliver like a new episode once a week sort of thing?
Yeah, I think they make it available to me as it rolls out.
As they're filming it?
As I would love that in real time. Hey, that's an exclusive piece of content there. I would be all for it. But no, I think it comes at the same time as it gets uploaded to History Channel. I think if you subscribe to History Channel for whatever reason,
that channel's gone downhill.
You get access to it. So when it debuts. Now, David Paulides, the video you posted in our Discord, David Paulides of Missing 411 notoriety and fame. He likes this subject too. He has talked to some of the guys there at Skinwalker Ranch. He has talked to the previous owner, Robert Bigelow. He's talked to the current owner, and because he is a person of note in the paranormal UFO community. David has his own opinions about what is going on. And this is, I pulled this little clip here. I didn't edit it very well, but here's a little clip of what David has to say about people who watch this show and follow the Skinwalker content in general.
And that's exactly what I'm interested in.
No, that's not what I wanted. That's not it. I had another clip that I pulled. Did I not pull it? Maybe I didn't pull it. Let's see here. Maybe it's this one.
And I think they're lucky to have him. I had a lot of comments last year that people didn't believe that what was happening at the ranch was real. I'm telling you, it's real. It's real. I don't care what you think. It's real. And if you don't believe it's real, leave. Don't even leave any comments. Just go your way. Goodbye. Because there's no reason for you to be here if you don't believe what they're telling you and what they're showing you.
So that's what David Paulides is saying, is basically kids table for you. If you don't believe what is happening on the ranch and what they are presenting as real, then go to the kids table or get on your knees and eat at the dog bowl. Because at this point, it's undeniable. There is something going on there. And you just haven't done you haven't done research on your own. And to a certain degree, I'm with him on that there's plenty of evidence and at least stories, firsthand accounts from credible people that would at least give people a good idea of what possibly might be going on there, or allow support for additional investigations. But not a lot of people do the deep dive into Skinwalker Ranch because it is just a rabbit hole full of every paranormal topic imaginable. Now, David, during that video, stated that Robert Bigelow, the previous owner, he did not hand over any of the data, and when he sold the ranch, he didn't give any of the data to the new owner, and so the new owner, Brandon Fugel, and this Skinwalker Ranch TV show had to start from square one. And when Bigelow sold the ranch, it's just kind of like he turned his back on the entire subject and wanted nothing more to do with Skinwalker Ranch. And I don't know if Bigelow has come out and stated why. He's always been curious about the paranormal, and UFOs is a topic that he has been funding for, I would say, decades at this point, with the National Institute of Discovery Sciences, and even like doing essays on the nature of death and consciousness after death. It's a topic he's interested in. So why turn your back on a place that has produced so many paranormal events? And not unless he discovered something there that truly either scared him or he was run off for a reason. And I think either one of those is a possibility. Either he was scared what he found and discovered there, or it was some sort of psychological operation run by some type of military organization. Our military or not, who knows? But it seems like he was run off one way or the other. But that's only speculation. He hasn't really talked about that too much. So that's what I got on Skinwalker Ranch, Season 5, Episode 1. Do you have any closing statements on that, Cratchit?
No, I just hope that they get to something substantive this year. If they're going to do another 10 or 15 episodes.
Okay.
They're still farting around with their satellite phones.
Well, I mean...
Go get a bulldozer, dig holes and stuff, figure out what's going on.
All right.
If they own it, blow it up. Dig around. Figure out what's going on.
Well, they're trying to be as respectful as possible to the land, but also try to get the information.
This is America. There's no time for that.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah. They have ratings to worry about, not the land.
It was like was it last season or 2 seasons ago? They found that weird portal that was like 40 feet up in the air, and they didn't just like throw shit into it.
That's what so that's over the triangle. That's what they're trying to use the helicopters to measure right now.
Fly into it.
I agree. But here's the thing. What David Paulides noticed is that when they interact with a portal, it only prevents like non-human occupied craft from doing certain things, or like a drone gets interrupted or brought down in some way, or a rocket will ricochet off of it, but ricochet off the anomaly, or its trajectory will change when going through the anomaly. But if you are in a craft, if you're a human and you're operating a craft, you seem to be able to go through the anomaly pretty much at will without any sort of interruption or interaction with this anomaly. So is your consciousness and you operating the thing the variable that allows you to pass through that portal uninterrupted, unimpeded? But a rocket or a drone or any sort of autonomous sort of device, that gets impacted in some way by this. So that's what David Paulides noticed. That's an interesting observation. So our consciousness might play a way, like it has, whatever this thing is able to detect us humans and not interact with us in a terribly harmful way when going through that anomaly. I don't know. People have been irradiated on farms.
Push some interns into it or something.
A non-paid intern.
Well, it's for college credit.
Yes, it's for college credits, which you can use.
Here, write a paper on this, smart guy. Shove them in there.
But I'm going to move on. I got more paranormal stuff for everyone out there. We can't talk about Skinwalker Ranch all day.
And we will.
We could, but we're not.
Starting right now.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Is that Don Lemon?
That is Don Lemon.
Stop it.
Stop it with the ignorance.
He's all upset about things.
He's very upset about the ignorance.
Why don't we send Don Lemon to Skinwalker Ranch? Let him investigate.
I would love that. I would love if CNN goes there, Fox News goes there, Don Lemon.
I don't think he works for anybody. He works for Twitter or something, doesn't he?
A mainstream anchor of someone like that. Put Stephen Colbert down there. Have Stephen Colbert do his entire show there for a month and see what happens.
The Colbert live from Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah.
Right.
And let's see what happens. Talk about, I would tune in for that. I would tune in to see Stephen Colbert broadcast live from Skinwalker Ranch and bring in all his guests and have them be irradiated and have ghosts show up and then Bigfoot comes in the background.
You're saying he's not going to go there to investigate Skinwalker Ranch. He's going to go just to do a show as per normal.
Yes.
And just to see what happens.
Yeah.
From the center of the triangle, they're going to build the set for his nightly talk show, his late night talk show. Do it. And just to see what happens.
I would say let's do it.
Right.
That would be a compelling piece of TV. It mixes pop culture, people who are skeptical, which is Stephen Colbert, and then he would have to deal with all the anomalies of Skinwalker Ranch while trying to do a bullshit TV show.
On the other hand, if he got if you had the WHO come out and say that Skinwalker Ranch was legitimate and was real and all the things going on there were documented and scientific in nature, then Stephen Colbert would start yelling at people and fight them over how much he believes it. Because that dude just takes his marching orders and turns them right around.
Well, that's at that point in time, we would know when Project Bluebeam starts. We would know.
That's a good point. I mean, he would be the sort of person who would be all in on a Project Bluebeam messaging campaign.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's and that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for indicators. We're looking for changes in the mainstream awareness of some of these topics and where they lead. And right now, they're still ignoring it. Yeah, History Channel is huge, and this is Skinwalker Ranch has gained, at least the TV show has gained a lot of momentum and a lot of fan base, but it's still a subculture, and it's very divisive because it's not just UFOs. It's got a fun bag for every piece of paranormal activity, and that's what makes it so controversial and why scientists kind of thumb their nose at it. It's not one thing. People like niches.
People like niches.
They do.
Niches get stitches.
Well, here is a headline here for everyone out there. Family experiences paranormal activity after non-human crashed in their backyard.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Are you worried about UFOs?
I could be.
I am now.
Yeah, now that it could impact me.
They're just showing up in my backyard.
So this is a follow-up, I believe, from last year when there was a family out in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas area, that said a UFO crashed in their backyard, which it seemed to be like a parking lot in their backyard.
Yeah, it was a really weird, like gravel lot with a bunch of campers or something.
And there was some like machinery back there, like a couple earth movers. And they went out there. They had some videotape. They claimed that a UFO either landed or crashed, and that there were aliens back there. And they even called 911. Police came out. There was some footage that people claims like, oh, there's an alien hiding behind the fence. And all that kind of stuff. Well, they're back at it, meaning that they're back in the news here. And News Nation has decided to do a follow-up with this family. And we'll see what we can learn here. I'll read the little bit of this article, then I'll play a little bit of the News Nation on-location video report. And we'll see what we can learn, if anything. A family who reported that an object had crashed in their backyard last year has since been plagued by paranormal experiences. The strangeness began on April 30th of last year when a family in Las Vegas reported that some sort of unknown object had come down from the sky and crash-landed in their backyard. Did it crash or did it land?
It crashed, then landed. It was an initial crash, but then at last second.
It pulled up. Last second, pulled up. Yeah.
Oh, we got it. We're good.
Use the air brakes. A short time later, one of the family phoned the police to report the incident. Quote, there's an 8-foot person besides the object, and the other one is inside us, and it has big eyes, and it's looking at us. It's still there, he told the dispatcher. Quote, they are very large, like 8, 9, 10 feet tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes. Like, I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're skinny eyes. They're human. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot in that sentence.
Yeah, that was a lot of like random just word salad there, with just saying words to maybe get people to pay attention. I don't know.
Then they go on to say they're 100% not human.
Okay.
When officers attended the scene, several other members of the same family corroborated the sighting, and other residents also confirmed that something had fallen from the sky. At the time, the American Meteor Society maintained that a meteor was responsible for the sighting, with 21 reports being received in total across California, Nevada, and Utah. That said, not everyone seemed to be satisfied with this explanation. Fast forward to the present, and now Angel Kenmore, the same teenager that had reported the event to the police last year, has told News Nation in an interview that the strangeness hadn't ended with the crashed object. He now maintains that non-human entities that he saw that day was possibly a demon, and that the family's home has since been plagued with paranormal activity. So I'll play with this. I mean, not uncommon. So I'll play this video right here. Bring it up on screen, and we'll listen to this report. Why not? We got time.
So what's interesting also, Alex, in the year almost the
Yeah, how about this? I will make sure everyone can hear this. I'll boost, limit, compress, EQ, saturate, and limit so we can get this
sparkle?
heard. I will add a little high-end exciter for a sparkle. Sure, why not? Why not?
year that has passed is that something else has begun to happen, they say, now inside the home. And they're very afraid of what they have been, what they say that they have been witnessing inside their home. Can you describe what it is they're telling you?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Angel has pivoted from calling what he saw that night an alien instead, now calling it a demon, because he feels like he's seeing so much paranormal activity and just strange, unexplainable things happening inside of his home. There was two anecdotes, one in particular that we're about to show you that literally made the hairs on my arm stand up just because it is so freaky, so unexplainable. We have a segment of that part of the conversation.
You mentioned paranormal activity. What exactly did you see?
Well, I was in another room. My brother called me, and there was a upside-down cross, and there was a Jesus statue in it. They ripped Jesus out of it. They threw him like across the room, and it was floating upside down.
What?
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, like in the air. It was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go pick it up? Did you knock it down? Like how?
No, I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there. I was crazy. I was like, what?
He called his friend out of the helicopter, and they hovered near it.
No, it came down. So we got closer to it, and then just dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off, and it was floating.
Yep.
And you can say definitively, without lies, that that is what you saw.
Yes.
Without lies.
Are
you lying?
What do you believe that is? How could something like that happen? That's not physically possible in this world.
And that's just one story of many stories of paranormal activity that's happened inside this house, according to Angel. He said that the family has had to take some really drastic measures to make themselves feel safe within their home. We're going to talk more about all of that paranormal activity tomorrow night on Banfield.
I don't go into a room without my shotgun.
And one last question about just what their house, has become, because, typically people are rabid about stuff like this, and people will come from all corners of not just the country but the earth to visit places like this. Have they been inundated with tourists and looky-loos and people who are not maybe
There's Looky-Loo over there.
should be when they arrive on the property?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, as you mentioned, this story sparked global attention. So everybody started coming to this house to get a peek at the backyard, hoping to catch a sight of a UFO or an alien or a demon, whatever it was back there. And so that's the reason why you see so many no trespassing signs. If you just look in the distance, you see one on the window, there's one on the garage. On their front door, there's a no trespassing sign, also a concealed carry sign that says that, we will protect our property.
So they did the air
this
trap.
has caught a lot of attention.
We will shoot at any
and
Jesus
so much
statues.
so that they're seeing around 4 or 5 cars almost each and every day, people stopping by, people even jumping over the fence.
And just in case you didn't notice, here's what their house looks like, and here's the address.
Yeah, they're really drawing more attention to it. But this person, Angel, Kenmore, he didn't have to do the interview with News Nation to draw more attention to their house. He could have said, listen, I understand. I understand you want to interview us, but we're trying to live a more peaceful, quiet life, and we don't want to draw any more attention to us. So he didn't have to do the interview. Now, when it comes to what they saw, it's who knows at this point. But I will say that in the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, there is a story of a person who went to Skinwalker Ranch, and they did see a UFO. They had some paranormal encounters. And then when they went back home, that paranormal activity did not stop. It seemed to follow them and seemed to spread to not only throughout their house, but other houses in their neighborhood until it kind of quieted down. It was like some sort of, they call it the hitchhiker effect, to where when you encounter, whether it's a UFO or maybe an alien encounter, you'll have residual after effects, almost like afterquakes or aftershocks of that experience throughout your life that will take the form of poltergeist or things like that. Maybe that's what he's experiencing, because he did have a legitimate paranormal experience. He said it was an alien, but now he says a demon, and now he and his family are experiencing the aftershocks of that experience.
Well, we've talked about that a number of times, that there's a lot of overlap between the interdimensional, the demonic and angelic, and the paranormal and the extraterrestrial or ultra-terrestrial. There's a lot of commonality there. So
I suspect that is why Bigelow no longer wants to deal with the ranch, is because he initially went into Skinwalker Ranch and investigating Skinwalker Ranch to get secrets from the universe, like what are UFOs, where do they come from, and that he may have found out the answer that they're not coming from some different planet, is that they are actually coming from the spirit realm, and they have more in common with angels and demons than they do with Bleep Bloop from the planet Fart. It is not something from...
We can make fun of Planet Fart.
Yeah, I know. It's a good planet.
They're good people there.
But it's, it's a bad joke.
So you're saying that Bigelow was searching for information. He got information and did not like what he found and wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I think that's why he pivoted to life after death and the spirit realm. Because most stories where there is a person encountering a UFO that has been landed, and they walk into a close proximity of the UFO, will encounter life after death or near-death experiences when getting in close proximity of that craft. They'll see dead loved ones. They'll see like a tunnel of light, all that kind of stuff, to where I think Bigelow realized that some of these craft, they are traversing the spirit realm in order to get here on Earth. And wherever they got to go, they go back through the spirit realm to go back to their dimension or wherever. And so I think Bigelow realized that and has moved on to say, well, what is the nature of consciousness? What happens after your life here on Earth? Where does your consciousness and spirit go? Because that's where the UFOs ultimately are going to. And so he found out that and had to pivot. And the only way he could pivot is by talking to people who have had near-death experiences.
So you're thinking he's continuing his same research in a slightly different tact because of the information he got from, because of the information he got from experiences at Skinwalker.
I think so.
Okay,
I think so. It's a different same research, different track. And probably the guys at Skinwalker Ranch will have to come to that conclusion as well, too, eventually, once they get done with these radio signals and those helicopters.
Hey, 3 more years. They'll next year. We got 3 helicopters now. We're still looking.
Yeah. But I'll move on. I mean, that's some big paranormal updates there, and a lot of talk like that. Let's get back down to earth here. And with some more crap. You want some more crap?
Well,
I'll give you some more crap.
I have UFO stuff.
I forgot. You got UFO stuff. Let's talk about it.
What the hell, man?
Sorry.
Weren't you twice?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You heard it here, folks. Mike hates George Knapp.
No, I don't. I like George Knapp.
All right. Here's a George Knapp story from, I think, yesterday, 2 days ago. Very, very recent. And this is a follow-up from the... this is a follow-up from the one about a year ago when they went and kicked down some doors and took all the computers from the Area 51 folks.
Oh, yes. The Area 51 raid. The Dreamland raid. Yes. I was actually going to look for an update on this because someone just commented on one of our YouTube clips about this. And it's like, well, whatever happened to that to that couple, because I think 2 people got arrested.
Here's George Knapp to tell you all about it.
He's back. George is back in a big way to tell us all about it.
More than 16 months ago, teams of heavily armed federal agents kicked in the doors of 2 Nevada homes to serve search warrants that remain mysterious to this day.
Now, the homes are owned by a website creator who has spent years focusing on the world's most enigmatic military base, and that's Area 51. Chief Investigator George Knapp broke the story of the original raids and is here with an update.
You know, we'd like to tell you we know exactly why the search warrants were authorized and what the feds were seeking when they pulled their guns and kicked in doors way back in November 2022. But like everything else related to Area 51, the truth is elusive and murky.
And I hear this banging and a voice.
Retired software designer Jorg Arnu was barely awake in the early morning hours of November 3rd, 2022, when all hell broke loose at his home in tiny Rachel, Nevada. Not far from the outskirts of Area 51, the world's best-known secret base.
The door of my house, they kicked in, and I'm getting out of bed, and I'm faced with probably about 6 or 8 people in my little hallway with a riot shield, guns drawn, pointed at me, commands, turn around, hands against the wall, and before I knew it, I was in handcuffs, dragged out of my house.
Agents from the FBI and OSI, that's the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, spent hours poking through the home. They seized every computer, hard drive, and camera and barked questions at Arnu in an intense and lengthy interrogation.
I was never told what the raid was all about. I was not handed a search warrant until after everybody had left my house, after the whole thing was over. So I still don't know exactly what it is that they're holding against me.
The warrant was authorized by a federal judge, but nearly every one of its more than 40 pages was blacked out. What Arnu didn't know until later was that another team of agents had simultaneously raided his second home in Las Vegas.
Whoa.
That door was also bashed in, guns were drawn, and his girlfriend was interrogated. Agents reportedly told the girlfriend that Arnu was a fugitive on the run somewhere, which is how they coaxed her into giving up the names of Arnu's friends and associates.
Oh, man. They must have exercised a lot of force.
Altogether, the busted doors, seized property, and legal fees have cost Arnu a bundle.
All in all, I'm about $32,000 in the hole.
More perplexing for Arnu is that 16 months later, the reason for the raids is still an enigma, like that secret base on the other side of the Tikaboo Valley. No charges have been filed. None of the seized property has been returned. And neither Arnu nor his attorney have been told what prompted more than 24 federal agents to take such dramatic action. The lawyer thinks they may never know, though it is almost certainly related to dreamlandresorts.com, the website Arnu created, a clearinghouse for all things related to the legendary Air Force Base at Groom Dry Lake.
I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm reporting on things that go on at Area 51 that can be observed from public land. I'm satisfying people's curiosity about Area 51.
Arnu says he's always been careful about what photos get published on his site. He says he does not cross the line by straying into restricted areas and would happily remove any image that goes too far. The agents who grilled him for hours would not tell him if a particular photo on his site showed something it shouldn't have. And whatever justification was given in the search warrant is blacked out for reasons of national security. He isn't the only party left in the dark. Since 2022, Nellis Air Force Base has been pummeled with media questions about the raid, but has declined comment, for good reason. Internal emails obtained by the FOIA website The Black Vault show the Public Affairs Office at Nellis was not told about the search warrant in advance or why the action was taken. Arnu says any foreign spy who wants to see what goes on inside Area 51 could get clearer images from publicly available satellite platforms than from dreamlandresorts.com. He's made it clear to his audience that he won't be intimidated. The website now jokingly declares it's been endorsed by the FBI and OSI.
Are there residual effects for you and your girlfriend who have gone through that?
Up to this date, over a year after the raid, we still have what I would call a mild form of PTSD. In the middle of the night, we hear noise, and it's like, who's coming? What's going on? A number of times, I've actually gotten out of bed and looked around, looked out the windows if there's anybody coming. So there's definitely some residual effect there. of course, also.
Arno's attorneys say the feds have up to 5 years to decide if they will press charges or not. In the meantime, the website and its owner will remain in legal limbo.
Hilarious.
So what's going on out there that might warrant such intense secrecy? What black projects are under development in the Nevada desert? We have some educated guesses, and we'll have more on that tomorrow night.
Oh, good.
So they released a few pages of that search warrant. Did they even give a glimpse of what they might have been looking for?
A little bit. So it's like 45, 46 pages long. The first 39 pages were not released at all, not even to the target of the warrant. And parts of the pages that were released, as you saw, were blacked out. But the pages that you can read give a couple of little clues there. They say that they're collecting and authorized to seize anything and everything related to a, quote, military installation, one that shall not be named. We can guess, though.
No. I know you're going to keep us updated.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting and mercurial, as always.
Thanks,
George. Mercurial? That's not what that word means.
Both you use it whether you like it or not.
I think you meant mysterious, maybe. Mercurial means somebody
Half
who's
in the bag.
switches
too.
It's decided to start playing Red Letter Media right after that.
Well, that's YouTube just going to your next thing in your playlist there.
Well, that was disturbing because that was a huge story, and $30,000, $32,000 in debt. No charges. You don't even know what they really were looking for.
Yeah, that's nice to release a warrant that's blacked out. Here you go. We have a warrant for this. What? I don't know. You can't tell you.
That seems unconstitutional. But I'm sure in some NDAA authorization, Patriot Act authorization, it's quasi-legal. It might be unconstitutional, but it's quasi-legal. But who's going to pay for all that stuff?
Well, that's really what they're going after. You're exactly right. Is the amount of money it would take on the part of the accused to get legal discovery to get that information is going to be egregious for almost anybody.
Yeah, it would take hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, in order to find out the reason why, and then to get any of that stuff back. Obviously, they're not in the financial position to do that, and they basically got to bend over and take it. They've been screwed, and now
inject it, put it in.
Yeah. And now they got to live with the repercussions of that. And I who knows? We don't know what he does for a living, but now they're. What would you do? Would you just move in that instance? Like in your favorite hobby of investigating UFOs?
Move across the street, be like, I don't know that guy over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's these no-knock raids, which are of questionable legality to start with, and there's some pushbacks. Some pushback is starting on these. It hasn't made it anywhere. So a couple of municipalities and things have said you can't do no-knocks, but because it has exactly this intimidation effect. Whether or not you're the right person, whether or not what they really want you to do in a lot of these cases is that they want you to make the mistake of jumping out there with a gun. And as somebody who lives way the heck out in the middle of the Nevada desert, I guarantee you this guy has a gun by his bedside. So the only reason he's still alive today is because he didn't pick that up to see what was going on.
Yeah.
So, and if I recall, the initial story on this, there was reports that he had published photos, recently published photos, and then took them down of a new aircraft. And they think that was what spurred the raid, but that information isn't released, obviously.
They were harsher to this person than they were to the Chinese over the Chinese spy balloon incident. Like they blew that off. But this one, it's redacted, it's sealed. They screwed somebody over who, by all accounts, just seems like a regular nice person whose hobby just is tracking interesting military operations and craft going in and out of Area 51. And like you said, he wasn't trying to post anything. His goal wasn't trying to expose crazy military secrets. And he said he would have been happy to take anything down, but they weren't giving them any sort of indication of what he did wrong.
Balloon.
Yeah, that
very disturbing. Very disturbing story.
Well, they do this stuff out there routinely. The government expands its property to buy up nearby hills and mountains because they don't want you getting up on those with a long lens and taking pictures of things. And they will, even though it's not a part of the military installation, they will show up. The guards will show up to harass and kind of chase you away, sort of thing. So. Yeah. They're very defensive about that, and with good cause, because even if we say everything's above board and it's simply the Skunk Works development site for advanced aircraft, and they don't want you taking pictures of this stuff because it's top secret at the point until they announce it, release it, etc. Okay, fine, but they're very aggressive about that. So
it seems like this heavy-handed action actually draws more attention to Area 51.
It's the Streisand effect, very much so.
Yeah, and it sounds like they could have come to him in a much more friendly way. Say, here is $10,000. We want to purchase your site or these set of photos. Work with us because we can't tell you anything, and that's that. And then you have no more attention. You got this guy on your side. You're not wasting government resources by having to get all these guys out there to knock down doors, and then the legal cost of writing up all these things. You just buy somebody off. It is cheaper. Obviously, this person probably would have went for it. He's $30,000 in debt. He probably would have took $10,000 to work with you.
He wasn't $30,000 in debt before they showed up and smashed up his house, Mike.
What I'm saying, he's not a person of extreme wealth.
I see what you mean.
If he's like, he probably would have took the $10,000.
I thought you were going to say they showed up first and said, "Hey, do you want $30,000?" He said, "No." They're like, "Well, you're going to need it tomorrow."
You're going to need it because we're coming in, like it or not.
That $30,000.
Yeah.
No, but clearly this was an intimidation play. Whether or not he had, whether or not you could say the warrant was and the raid was based on his publishing or possession of classified information of undisclosed or whatever you can call it, in development advanced aircraft. I don't think it's appropriate to go to this level of intimidation, but that's what they do.
They could have got all the information if they just asked, because not only did they want the images, they wanted to see who probably visited the website, which they could have got a warrant for just to do that. I mean, they easily could have just got into his server and see who and what clicked on those websites and in those images to find out the location of who accessed the images in question and when. Instead of just taking the server or taking whatever information you had, like, work with the person. Don't ruin their lives. Mm-hmm. This is what turns people off to the government, is this heavy-handed action. It just seems like this is a PR nightmare. Point,
if nothing else, it's brought more attention to it.
Yeah.
And George Knapp mentioned in that report that they're now saying that the information they have has been endorsed or recognized by the U.S. government, because clearly they were onto something there.
Mm-hmm.
So
they discovered something.
There's smoke, there's fire.
Yep. Any other paranormal news?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we could close out our paranormal segment and go talk about some other nonsense.
Okay. I will try to close out. How do I close out the paranormal? Do I do it this?
No, not that
one. Okay. Maybe.
Oh, that's a good one. Also throw in some Ghost Bros.
Okay.
So anytime two or more bros see something at the same time, it's gotta be a fact.
Yeah, there we go.
Love it.